Yeah.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel for yet again another review coming out of the Toronto International Film Festival. And today I'm going to be talking about You Are the Universe, the debut from writer-director Pavlo Ostrikov starring Volodymyr Krevchuk. And this film basically follows a Ukrainian space trucker, and while in space, the Earth gets decimated and he ends up being the only man left alive until he realizes that there is also a woman out in space somewhere, and kind of follows the correspondence that they have. And that's really all I want to say about this movie, because I knew absolutely nothing going into this. I'll tell you a little bit of a story now. So originally, me and my buddy Zach, who's been on the channel, we've been trying to get tickets to Pedro Almodovar's The Room Next Door, and we couldn't get it for that Saturday night. Luckily, I grabbed one for myself on that Monday, so I will be bringing you a review of that film, of course. But we were just kind of like, well, we need something to fill the time, so I was looking at the schedule, looking at all the possible movies, said, hey, what about this? And he's like, sure. So we went and saw this movie, and I even said to him before I went in, I said, I have a really good feeling about this one. And, it's very, very rare, obviously, nowadays, since we're so inundated with so many trailers and so many promotional images, that you go into a movie completely blind. Now, if you're watching this review, obviously, isn't going to be quite at the same level of, I guess, unknowingness that I was at when I went into the screening. But I'm so glad that I chose to watch this movie, because, quite frankly, not only is this the hidden gem of the festival, this was one of the absolute best movies that I saw at the entirety of the Toronto International Film Festival, at least my stint there. And this is really unbelievable, because I think this blew most movies I saw at the festival out of the water. Like, it was not even close. And this movie really took me by surprise in so many ways. First off, I have to say, this is one of the most original sci-fi films I've seen in such a long time, and easily one of the best sci-fi and romance films. It's almost like a rom-com, but I don't want to call it a rom-com because it's so much more than that, right? And I really think we've been being absolutely spoiled this year with sci-fi films between Dune Part 2 and Mars Express. This might be one of the greatest years in all of sci-fi cinema. But this movie really took me by surprise, like I said, in so many ways. First off, it mainly takes place in this one ship, so it is a very self-contained narrative, and I was wondering how much Ostrikov could pull out of being in this one setting. But so much is the answer I will give you, because first off, when you do get the visual effects shots, it really does feel like you're watching something on par with Interstellar, Gravity. It's unbelievable, the visual effects, for a good portion, especially in the wides. Because I will say, once you get up a little bit closer, they do become a bit noticeable. But keep in mind, this movie was made on a budget of like $1 million. And it was finished in the middle of Kiev during the Ukrainian war. Like, this is nuts that this movie even exists. It is truly a miracle, if there ever was one. And I don't say that about too many movies, but I think it absolutely applies to You Are the Universe. Another thing, speaking of the visual effects that are so effective, is the computer in the film, who's kind of like this AI on board helping out our lead character named Maxim, aka Max. And what they do with him is really quite incredible, because he really emotes. Like, there's like an LCD screen, and the eyes, even though they're like kind of pixels on the screen, they move up and down, back and forth, and you really get so much out of just an LED screen. It emotes more than the animals in fucking Lion King, for crying out loud, which is saying a lot, honestly, and I absolutely love what they did with that, and the humor they pull out of this. This was surprisingly one of the most consistently funny, witty, films I've seen in a long time, and I know Pavlo said something along the lines that he really does love writing great dialogue, and boy does he have a knack for it, because there were so many times when I was laughing out loud. Legitimately, this is one of the funniest movies I've seen in some time, and I think adds so much levity to such a drab situation that could have just been absolutely torturous to get through. But, you know, as is life, there's humor to be found in so many unexpected places, and I think that is more than the case with this film. Also, the thing that I absolutely love more than anything is this is a masterful execution of the three-act structure as we know it. And I am very much a stickler for structure. If you've been watching my channel for quite some time, it really speaks to me when a film really nails the art of setup and payoff. And this film does it beautifully. It sets things up and pays them off in so many ways and pulls out the rug from underneath you just when you're not expecting it, and really makes things very, very believable in regards to the progression of this story. And it's absolutely riveting because at a lot of points I didn't know where it was going. And you could say, sure, like, this isn't anything particularly new, at least some of the story beats. I think it's done so well, though, that it kind of is elevated because of it. It rises above whatever could be considered tropey, let's say. And I really, really love the script from top to bottom. And I absolutely love Vladimir Krevchuk in this. And he really has to carry this whole movie on his shoulders, because besides Maxim kind of, you know, talking to him in the background and the voice that you hear through the other side, it's really his movie. It's solely focused on him. And I think he's absolutely tremendous, more than up for the task to deliver this performance. And I really do think that you really connect with the lead character. Now, you don't get a whole lot about his backstory, but you understand how this guy ticks, what his mentality is, and you get enough that you kind of understand where he is at this point in his life. And I think that is great character writing, and especially for our female character as well, you really get so much depth between the two of them, the interactions that they have. And I absolutely loved the riveting and very genuine conversations that transpired throughout this entire narrative. And also, another thing I really, really love is Ostrikov's direction. The blocking is absolutely exceptional. There's these amazing tracking shots where the light will suddenly, you know, get dimmed down in one single shot to kind of indicate the passage of time, and the way the camera moves around the room to indicate that is really unbelievable. Honestly, just so impressive from a visual storytelling standpoint. And I absolutely love when movies do that and are able to do it effectively, because that is a really hard art to master, and I think he more than delivers on that front. I cannot stress how much I loved watching this movie, to the point when we got to the ending, my breath was like absolutely taken away. This ending to this film is one of the best endings I've seen in quite a while, honestly, and probably the last movie I can think of that really stunned me was the ending of The Color Purple. And right before that, Godzilla -1. And so those are two of my top 10 movies from last year. So I think that says a lot right there. But this is one of those films that will leave your jaw on the floor just because of how well it's executed. Even if we have seen beats like this before, it's all about how it's delivered. I say this all the time, and this is no exception here. If I have any small criticisms with the movie, though, I do think that it is fairly obvious in some points, like I was saying with the substance, where, you know, it makes obvious reference to, let's say, a certain sci-fi classic, and it was kind of like, okay, like, I understand what you're doing, but, you know, I appreciate your love for this film. You don't really need to spell it out. But there is one really cool 2001 reference, I'll say that much, that I really did appreciate, and it was a little bit more subtle than the other one. But even so, I think this is just one of the most thought-provoking, compelling, engaging hysterical, absolutely moving sci-fi films I've seen in quite some time, and to that extent, obviously, probably even more so, romance films we've seen in some time. It's like Interstellar mixed with Her, mixed with Moon, which I haven't seen, but it's very similar. I've also heard it compared to a movie called Love, and I think it's better than at least the few that I've seen. I really absolutely adored this movie. I wish that there were more films like this that exist. And the fact that Ostrikov literally finished this in the middle of an ongoing war in his country really is such a amazing feat. I mean, props to you, good sir. I know I have already said this to you when I met you outside the theater after the screening, but really you are such an inspiration to be able to do this and, you know, fully execute your vision on such a high level. Sure, there were some perhaps shortcuts that you had to take here or there, but it hardly shows in the final product overall. And I think, you know, it really just shows how far one will go to create what they love if they're truly, truly passionate. And I think as a cinema fan, as a budding filmmaker myself, it is really unbelievable accomplishment, and I can't say anything more positive about this movie than I've already said. So props to you, sir. And I'm going to give You Are the Universe a 9.5 out of 10. I don't know when this is coming out. I hope it gets distributed internationally very, very soon. But I absolutely adored almost everything about this film. And you guys really have to check this out when it does finally get released, because I guarantee you whatever year it comes out, it is making my top 10 of the year. No question about it. This is an absolute future sci-fi classic. Maybe a bit unheralded, but to me, yeah, this is an absolutely amazing accomplishment in filmmaking and writing, etc., etc. I can't wait for y'all to see it. And if you have seen it, let me know. I'd love to hear what you thought about the film. And of course, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Going to be a lot more reviews coming your way very soon, with the next one up being Night Bitch, directed by Marielle Heller, and of course starring Amy Adams. Can't wait to talk to you guys about that one very, very soon. And I'll see you in the next one.